Hey everyone, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
Hey,
Hi.
we are live.
Hello, we're live. This is Aaliyah.
And Joe.
Welcome to Convenient Truth, episode 48. We're almost at 50, man. And at 50, I could have sworn you told me that we can stop at 50.
No, stop.
Is that what you said? Didn't you say that?
No, I said we need to get to 50.
But then what happens when we get to 50?
We have a celebration. I don't know. we talk about our 50th. Maybe we go through and talk about the different episodes. I don't know, but it's a milestone. You know, most people that start podcasts don't get past like 10 podcasts. You know?
Oh my God. So we got to keep going. I was
50 is
excited
just the
because you were like, all right, let's keep going until 50. And then I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my God, thank God. Because then we could just take a break.
50 is the first milestone, you know? I mean, I think we had like a 25. Actually, we had a 40. We were excited about 40, I think. But, 50, what do you mean? What, do you don't like doing this? What's
Joe,
happening?
it's just like the podcast. I love you guys and I love speaking to the world. But like, this is such a commitment.
It's like literally an hour
every-
every other week because, like, you know, whatever.
But it's like, I feel like people understand what I'm saying, right? Like, look, you have the opportunity. So you're not I work all the time, basically. If I get a text message, if someone calls me, whatever, I have to work. Sometimes I have a crisis. I got to go into the office. Like, so when I have a moment and I can choose to either do a podcast or
do nothing.
nothing, right?
You want to do nothing.
Fuck yes. Who would not want to do that? But my nothing
right here.
consists of actually something. My nothing consists of fold the laundry that's been just like stacked up for freaking week after week after week because I have no time to do that. Clean the house by levels because I can't clean the whole house in one damn day, you know? Then it's like that's my nothing. And then when I'm done with that, guess what I do?
Really nothing.
I sit, I get comfy and cozy somewhere until our daughter wakes up from her nap. Put on Only Murders in the Building, which is my new show right now. It's really good.
Listen, clearly I am running the show here on this podcast, and there are like long-term goals that I have in mind, ideas, and we will see. We're about to hit 50, right? When we hit 100, when we hit 200, we'll come back to this episode and I'll play it. I'll literally play it, and then you'll be like, yeah, I'm glad we didn't quit because we're doing this and this is happening, blah, 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 blah.
We're going to be like the longest running podcast that continues to have like 30 people listening to their podcast.
No.
Like, the longest running podcast with 30 people listening
That's
to their podcast.
literally how every podcast has started. We're lucky to have the people we have. Like, and it keeps growing. Every week it grows. Like, might be just a couple of people or whatever, but it's like, that's it. That's the grind. If you ever want to start a podcast out there, don't listen to Aaliyah.
Oh my
right?
God, do you know
just
who's
keep
number
fucking
one?
going.
Do you know who's number one on Spotify for podcasts right now?
Oh, Joe Rogan?
Oh, actually, no, not anymore. Joe Rogan got booted to freaking not number one anymore because Meghan Markle, the damn princess or whatever, who's married to Prince Harry or whatever, right? She just dropped a podcast like yesterday or something, and literally within like, she became number one.
Well, yeah, because everybody wants to hear that, you know. I mean, I'd say probably not overall, for sure. That's for that day, maybe.
For that day, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had Serena Williams on, and I don't know, they were talking about lots of stuff. But I just feel like maybe everyone was just so interested because it was like, ooh, Meghan Markle,
Right.
the prince, like the princess. Let me like hear what she has to say.
So what'd she say?
I don't know. She just had a person come on. It was like an interview for her and Serena Williams
Probably not as
because
cool.
Serena's
what we're talking
retiring, so that's a big deal.
Oh.
She's calling it quits.
That's the first podcast
Yeah.
that she wanted to have.
Yeah, and it came number 1 over Joe Rogan.
Whatever. Anyways, yeah, well, you know why that happened? Because everybody around the world, she's the fucking princess of fucking Wales or whatever the fuck it is, right? I'm probably saying that wrong, sorry. But
Yeah, something like that. But she's an important person.
yeah,
I guess.
anybody, like if Obama started a podcast tomorrow, it would
Everybody
be number
would
one.
want to hear probably.
Right?
Yeah, what do you have to
but
say?
they did a lot of work to get to be so known that people would just instantly listen to their podcast. Nobody knows us. This is what
Do you
people
know what
know.
I find really funny? I find it funny that you said if Obama started a podcast, everyone would be there. When in my mind, I actually went to Trump for a second because I feel like if Trump started a podcast,
I'm surprised he hasn't yet.
he'd blow
That is weird. That he
people who
hasn't
don't
done
even
that.
like him would just listen just for just a second.
It might be
so that
too
they
much.
can hear it, just what he has to say, and then they'll stop. But then everyone will definitely listen for that first fucking episode.
It might be too much. Like he's, his lawyers are probably telling him, maybe we shouldn't.
He's probably
we shouldn't
like,
do that right now.
Listen, I think I'm going to do a podcast, guys.
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
what I'm
they're
going to do.
like,
And everyone's like,
yeah,
don't do the podcast.
yeah, but it would blow up.
Huge.
But yeah, no, people like us have to grind for years in the trenches of continual, like, just what's the word? Commitment to continuously putting out content. Like we could just have to like keep doing it, right? Eventually it picks up. I mean, even if you look at like a Joe Rogan podcast, I mean, he still has some of his like first podcasts on.
yeah.
Our podcast is like 100 times better than his fucking 10th
I mean-
podcast.
But Joe Rogan was still, I feel like, he was still someone when he came out with his first podcast. He was Joe Rogan.
No, nobody really knew him then, because this was before when he came out with that podcast. That was right around where he
Fear
was
Factor?
started. Yeah, but he wasn't. I don't even think he was like super famous on Fear Factor at that point.
Oh,
Yet.
wow. Okay.
Maybe it was like around the same time, but like, whatever.
All right.
So I didn't convince you of anything, right? Like,
No.
It's just like I'll just keep you grinding. I'll be like, we gotta do a podcast now.
Basically,
right?
every single week, you'll just come to me and say, we got to do a podcast. And then I'm going to be like, oh, God. And it'll be a whole thing. And then I'm going to show up
Yeah. Listen, when we get to
and do the podcast.
When we get to 300 podcasts, if we only have fucking 50 people listening,
At the 300th
then
podcast.
yes, then I'll be like, okay, all right, maybe we're not saying what people want to hear or whatever the fuck it is. But
Yeah.
until then, continue on.
Okay.
All right. So we got a 250 left to go, 252 to go. All right. So
Right.
that's multiple years.
Okay. I mean, I'm here. I show up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have great conversations.
We were actually supposed to do this podcast 2 days ago, but there were excuses why.
What?
This. Here comes Euro.
Oh, shit. That's why we have his bed there. I wish there was a camera to just show.
Oh, we can with the Instagram at least.
Oh, well, now he's.
Yeah,
Now he's.
Wow.
Let's see if he puts his head through.
Of course, you gotta pop his head through.
Watch.
Sniffing.
He's not going to put his
Sniffing.
head through. The one time that we want him to actually put his head through.
No. Oh. He's just sniffing around. He's just annoying. Whatever. I realized that you can't really even hear him on the camera, so
Good. Okay.
just let it go. Let it go. So, yeah, we're just, today is super free flowing because we looked and looked, and there's not a lot going on these days.
I mean, it's like
there is a lot
right.
going on.
I'm not
but
gonna dismiss all the stuff going on in the world. Obviously, there's lots of stuff always going on in the world, and I'm trying to say this appropriately, but like, there's just nothing that is really striking my eye in terms of like, ooh, yeah, I want to get into this.
You know what we could talk about? I mean,
What?
I don't know if you're into it, but like the sensitivity of everyone, of a lot of people, of like, like you can't say one thing. Like, you can say whatever, right? But like, we have initiated some sort of regulator within ourselves of to not speak about certain things in front of the majority of people, because if you say it wrong, you might offend somebody. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
No, of course.
Like,
know
I
what you're
can
saying.
bring up a bunch of topics right now, but like, what is that? Why is that so enhanced at this time in history, as opposed to clearly in like my dad's time, you know, or whatever, when he was in his prime of like the 70s or 60s or whatever, like they just say whatever's on their mind, and like people dealt with it, and like if you don't like it, then you tell them that you don't like it,
Right.
you know. But now it's we all assume everybody's like super sensitive, so maybe we don't know if Johnny is interested in that, so maybe we should just stay away from that and not talk about it. This guy, I don't know, show the
Yeah, now
Instagram people now. He's like, Euro.
This guy.
Euro.
Now he's frozen. Now
Yeah,
now he's playing dead.
No, you can't come in here. I was just kidding. All right, bye.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's also because the world things have changed and
But what's changed?
evolved
What's changed?
into
What's changed?
other things. I think the media also has another, stuff to do with it, and I mean, it's lots of stuff. I don't know. I think that now though. I think
He's trying to
now
break down
what
the-
it is that people are definitely scared, right? I think more scared to say certain things.
Scared of what?
Like of any kind of repercussion.
What type, like hearing somebody get upset at them?
No, not even that. Like, so for example, let's say I'm out and about and I I don't know, said something really just inappropriate and just ridiculous, right? And let's say somebody heard me, gets upset, right? That's not the fear really so much as it is really of, okay, now you're out and about, now this person's coming at you. Someone else over here though, Mary, has a camera with on her phone. Now Mary's low key, videoing this whole entire exchange, right? Then Mary goes home and then she posts it all over the freaking internet. And let's say now, because of that comment, right, that was made, now it's all everywhere on social media. Let's say I lose my license or this or that,
Jesus, you've
but
really
this is what
gone to
happens.
town on this.
But this is what happens.
It does? To who?
It has been happening. What are you talking about?
Oh my God. Well, you know what happened?
I mean, some of the things are rightfully so. So I mean,
I'm
I
not
will
going to be
say
able to do
that,
this
but-
podcast with this fucking guy. He's like, he's going to lay there for 2 seconds and then fucking stand up.
All right. Well, some of the things that are said that we've seen, put out there on TikTok or whatever, and Instagram are things that I do believe that rightfully so, that person, I guess, really shouldn't have that job anyway, or should just.
Yeah, like, okay, I hear what you're saying. If somebody's just like outlandishly, just saying inappropriate things, but I'm talking about just like topics. Just, I have no opinion on it, but say, I don't know, say you just I don't know, you're at a restaurant and there could be a lesbian couple next to you or something, and you just start I don't know, talking about it, and you're like whispering because they might hear you talking about the
what?
new whatever, some sort of law that came out or something that has to do with, I don't know, gay rights or something like that. Like, maybe that was a bad example.
I feel like
I just made that
I don't
up. It was
understand what
horrible.
you're saying.
I'm just talking about anything. Why can't we just like talk like what I do on this podcast? What I say here is exactly what I would say to anybody I just met, anybody I already know, anybody that doesn't care. I don't care how famous you are or how not famous you are. It's all the same. It's the same everywhere I go. No matter you're my wife, you're not my wife, it doesn't matter. I don't think it's like, for some people it's not that easy, because I think some people put, like, when they go to work, they have this work mentality, and they talk about these things, and they know all the people at work only talk about these things, and they don't maybe talk about like their family life at work because they just separate the two or whatever it is, right?
I'm so lost with what you're saying right now. I don't know what you're saying at all.
I'm talking about the
Like
coinciding, like, all aspects of your life. And I think that is the key to being able to speak freely no matter where you are and not offending anybody. Like, if you create these, like, I don't know, characters of, like, when you're with Bob, okay, we only talk about sports or whatever, right? But when I'm with John, I can talk about philosophical things. Maybe that's the case, but that, for me at least, that doesn't mean that when I'm with Bob, I'm not willing to talk about philosophical things, even though he's only into sports. You know, or vice versa, talk about sports with John when he's only wanting to talk about philosophical stuff. Like, I think all these people should talk to each other about different things. And then it's because I feel like we're all getting like compartmentalized into these like little groups and stuff. And like, that's the hesitance.
Some people just also aren't into certain things and just don't want to talk about it.
But that's the hesitance of like the not wanting to offend, I think, how it's gotten so high at this point, because we're just in our own little bubbles instead of trying to communicate and learn from other groups or other people and asking questions that some people may think is like offensive. If I don't know, I'm obviously bad at doing examples today, but like if I wanted to ask a question to some, I don't know, black guy or something, you know, like I should be able to do that. Like as long as I come at it like not in a harmful way or anything. What if I just like am just ignorant? What if I grew up in like some area where there's no black people, and then I like ran into some black guy? I'd be like, hey, first off, I want to let you know, I've never seen a black guy before, so this is amazing. I'm glad to meet you. Can we talk for a minute? Like, I know that's like kind of like a weird example of wherever, but like, you get what I'm coming from. And I think if people kind of stepped out of their little boxes a little bit more, we wouldn't be so scared to like say certain things around people that we think that they might be thinking this, that, and that, when they're most likely they're not thinking any of that shit, and they probably wouldn't take offense to anything you fucking say, as long as you're not being aggressive and a fucking asshole about it. Like, I don't know. I guess I kind of like run into those things because I just say what's on my head, and I'm not ever trying to hurt anybody's
Sometimes
feelings.
also gets you into trouble.
Right, but why does it get me into trouble?
Because you don't know how to communicate, and some of the shit that comes out of your mouth is like wild sometimes, not purposefully.
But like wild in like, oh, I just said something really offensive to that fucking person, and they took it that way, and they hate me now.
I don't know who can. I mean, I'm just like you've already experienced this in your life where you have said
But it's
something.
I don't. But I guess I don't know. My viewpoint of it is I'm not doing anything harmful. If a person takes it in a way in which I am not meaning it to be, then they should say that instead of just being like, and then avoiding me and then going talking shit to like 5 other people. about the conversation, right? You have no right to go talk shit because you didn't even like ask me why I was asking that question or like have a conversation with me about understanding why I'm speaking in that way. So that's your fault. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I hear what you're saying. And also, I mean, it also boils down to, I think there are people in the world who are more, reactive for XYZ reasons, and people who are probably going to respond more versus react. Like, so like if I hear something that's like that I like hear as like this really, I don't know, off thing or inappropriate thing, I'm not going to react. I'm just going to either make this face like, and then I'm going to go, wait, hold on. So what did you mean by
exactly?
Right?
You'll say
and
that.
I'm gonna say
You'll
that, right?
say that.
But that's because I'm not a reactor. I respond. So I take time. I process information. But there are some people who react based on their emotions, and they go, just off whatever emotion there is without processing and without taking a step back and going, okay, let me like first just see where this person's trying to go right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have bigger situations than what they probably really need to be.
Because of an emotional response usually leads to these problems, right?
Yeah, the emotion that the person's feeling
Right.
then triggers a behavior because of the inability to cope with also the intense feeling at that moment. Also, the person could have been triggered. There's so many things going
Right.
on with people, right? Like someone could hear something really inappropriate or whatever, and then like get triggered by it, feel really like offended, but then that really has to do with something in their. I mean, there's so many things.
Right.
So many places
Now,
we could take
you
this.
previously just said about 5 minutes ago that I am, quote unquote, not a good communicator. Wouldn't you think that people with whatever reasonings of why
I didn't say that. No, hold on. I actually want to. It's not that you're not a good communicator. I just think that sometimes because you're trying to, as you're speaking, your brain is going. And so what happens is sometimes then when you speak, people can get lost in what you're saying because you're just going without really saying, you know what, Joe, hold on.
Right.
Let me like think this shit through for
I
a
get
second.
it.
Right.
And that's the
So I just
reason why.
wanted to be
That's
clear.
one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast, because through the podcast, the real what I'm trying to say comes out because I'll backtrack, I'll re-say it, I'll think about another way. You'll come up with a different perspective. I'll be like, oh, I didn't think about that. And at the end of it all, I have a good perspective and understanding of what I'm trying to say and how I'm saying it and
Right.
whatever, right? So, and you get to see that on here, but I guess, yeah, you're right. If I'm just having like a 2-minute conversation with somebody, then yeah, it's going to be hard for them to, depending on the topic, I guess,
Yeah.
to really understand the depths of it, right? But what I was saying was like, all right, fine, me or anybody else, if you think like a person like me who says things, but that I'm curious really about topics and understanding things and whatever, and I'll say something to maybe get you to say something back, and we can have a good back and forth, right? So someone like that is, I guess, whatever. If that is a bad communicator, what would you call the person that reacts emotionally to every fucking conversation? That's the worst communicator, I would think. And you're saying that's a lot of people out there.
I didn't say. I just said that there are some people in the world who.
Okay, well, yeah, you're right. But I would say that a lot of people out there are emotional because you can see it.
I just want to also be clear. It's not. See, to me, the focus is not that there are some people in the world that are emotional. It's okay to have emotions and be emotional. It's totally fine. My focus is that there are some people out there in the world who experience feelings that may be intense for them, too intense for them to really even handle, cope with, deal with in that moment, or they just don't even know what to do in that moment, so they react. So I want to be clear. It's not about the fact that someone's emotional.
Okay. So whatever your reasonings for that moment, if somebody says something and it triggers you, it's not the person that said something. It's you. Right?
So, all right. Well, then I can get into this in so many different ways here, right? Because so in the because now there's different examples. In the example of Okay, actually, no. I'll start with something else. So, when we're kids, right? When we're children, right? We have really no control over certain things. We basically just do what people tell us to do, right? Like, so.
And you see things that other people are
right?
doing,
Like, I
you
just
copy
do
them.
what I gotta do. Go, get up, go to school. Okay, let's go here. Let's go. You just do. Okay. In those situations, right? Especially focusing on children who have no really like control to just get up and do anything.
Right,
no, that's a whole different story.
They
you
have an
know? Like-
excuse because they don't even
Right,
understand.
that's a whole different situation.
Now,
okay?
if you never grew
Now-
out of that,
Now, my thing is when we're adults, right, and you get into a stage of life where you can actually, cope healthier, you have more knowledge, you just know more about the world, like, then if someone, let's say, says something to you that triggers a emotional reaction due to this intense emotion that you're experiencing, so there could be many things. There could be a deeper thing going on there, right? So meaning it could be the fact that, again, whatever happened in that moment, right, has triggered this person to, again, feel disrespected. And maybe they have lived a whole life of feeling disrespected their whole entire life.
Right.
And so now here you are, the fucking 200th person, 1,000th person that has disrespected me. And now I'm just reacting because I'm fucking over it, you know? So in that moment, it really had nothing to do with Jack, who said something disrespectful. It was really like, well, you're also just being triggered by this, and it has nothing to do with Jack. It has to do with mom, dad, uncle, this, that, whomever, right?
Would you say that is a common scenario? Because maybe a lot of people in the world have not really dealt with things and figured things out with themselves?
I think it's a common scenario for a lot of people because, first of all, especially if you don't have any insight into it, then you don't know. And you're just like going, blaming Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? For like XYZ, when really it's like, is it really Tom, Dick, and Harry? You know?
Right. So coming back to...
But not all situations are like that. That's why I wanted to like...
But maybe in
like, there are just some situations where people can say really fucking just like fucked up shit, and I have no ties to it.
Right.
In my past,
that's
what you said was fucked up.
That's actually on the other side. So the person that's like attacking or being aggressive on a topic or whatever, then they're reacting emotionally about something, but they're shooting it onto somebody else, basically, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to make a connection between those things, those deep things within people, and then the feelings of like, oh, I can't talk about it. Don't say that because this is gonna hurt Bob's feelings. You shouldn't talk about that. Even because everybody has their internal thought and has an opinion on everything. Everybody does at some level, like. Or you just don't think about it and you're like, I don't give a fuck about that thing and I don't ever want to talk about it or whatever, right? But there's probably a reason why you don't want to talk about it, right? Which is internal. But
sometimes I just really don't want to talk about something because I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just over it.
The reason why you don't want to talk about some things is because they're usually things that you don't have a full understanding of, like say
it's not even about
economics or some shit,
true.
Right? You'll
but
be like,
for me, it's not even just about not having a full understanding about economics, which I don't. But it's also I am not interested.
Right.
Like I'm just not interested.
Although, if you take economics, you can't not be interested because it runs your whole fucking...
I did take economics, and I actually feel like I fucking did not do well in that class. I hated that class.
But yeah, if you actually took the time to do a little understanding of it and research and whatever,
Listen,
then you would...
I know it's important. I'm not saying it's not important.
Right.
It's completely important. I'm just not interested.
Right. Okay, fine. There's I guess there is a lot of things that are happening in the world that people aren't interested in.
I actually want to call myself out. I'm sorry, because I feel like that in itself, me saying I'm not interested is almost a privilegey thing to say.
What do you mean?
So okay, economics, big deal, right? in terms of the world. Like, so to have an understanding about that.
Just a fundamental
Yeah,
understanding.
the fundamental understanding, right. You know, but I feel like with just even the fundamental understanding is a domino effect, right? Like there's like so many things that can also
It
like,
can be if you wanted to go down the rabbit hole, but just understanding the basics is beneficial for everybody.
right.
Because everybody has money in their pocket right now,
So
or a
this is
credit
what I'm
card or
saying,
something.
And this is what I'm saying. So I am not interested in economics, nor have I really ever bothered to be interested in that kind of topic or anything like that, because I never, fortunately for me, had to. So I mean, honestly, you know, like, so I was never, and this is why I say that it's like a really privilegey thing for me to say, because there are some people in the world who really do have to know that stuff and like really do like need to like truly understand it so that they can, you know, get by XYZ, whatever. But for me, I've never had to. So it's never been this thing where I'm like, oh man, I really want to know about it, or that I care to know about it. I'm like,
But what we're really talking about is just economics or anything fucking else. Is like, for you in particular, if it's not something that you really have a deep knowledge in, unless like you're interested in it. Yeah, you're right. Like if it was like you didn't have a deep knowledge in like UFC, but then you got interested in it and now you have a deeper knowledge than me now. Why don't you scoot over a little bit too?
Right.
You can get the thing in there.
all right.
But where are we going? See, you went deep down the economic rabbit hole, and that wasn't where I was going with. I was just like, you don't want
You
to
were still
understand.
talking about the sensitivity of people
Yeah.
today. That's basically what and then we just kind of have been going.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it, and I guess there's no real like complete clear answer, but I can almost guarantee that if we talk to like our parents or grandparents or whatever, like they'll be like, yeah, everybody's so fucking pussyfooting around their conversations and shit. Because you talk to some like old like 80-year-old dude and just ask him some of these like straight up questions. Oh, how do you feel about gay people? How do you feel about like this law or that law? They'll just fucking tell you. They're not like thinking like, well, how do I say this so it doesn't offend this group of people and that group of people? Okay, well, let me think about that. All right, well, I'll say it like this. And then they have some way of saying it that's kind of like censored or limited because they don't want to hurt people's feelings. Like, what is that? I'm not out to try and hurt people's feelings.
Yeah, I mean,
first
I don't
off,
like-
you know,
I don't like to hurt people's feelings.
Nobody does, and I'm not trying to either. But I believe in like really trying to understand where people are coming from more than I believe in hurting people's feelings. Like, if I say something and you get triggered by it, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm trying to like understand, well, why do you think that way? You know? And if you decide that you don't want to like have the conversation and actually have, because maybe you haven't taken the time to actually think about how you feel about that topic. So then you're feeling like, well, fuck him because he's making me fucking talk about something I don't want to talk about. And I'm just like sitting there like, we were just talking, this topic came up, and then you're usually these other people are the ones that say the topic too. So I'm like, oh, really? Well, how do you feel about that? And then it's like they go 2 layers down, the end. Then there's an emotional reaction, and then I'm the fucking asshole, as opposed to just being like, oh, well, this guy's really making me like think about my thoughts on this topic.
Because again, not
And-
everybody wants to do that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Sure.
Not everybody wants to do that. You
Well,
know,
then listen, how? All right, if you
just like not everybody in the world wants to censor themselves. Just
How
like
about
not
this?
everybody in the
How about
world
this?
wants to, you know, like
what would you do if you were? I don't know what you would be, but like if you were to be able to start, if you were like so influential or whatever, then and you had the influence to help people start communicating better in the world, like overall, in general, or whatever, what was the first thing that you would say to people?
wow, I feel like that's a really big question, and I That is though. Like, what's the like? If I had that much influence and power to help people communicate,
like
just in the world in general,
like if you wanted
what
better
would be the first thing that I said to them?
Yeah, like
That's
you wanted better communication in the world, and not to say that like what you say is like everybody's gonna start doing it, but like what would be a good start where like from a therapist perspective or whatever, like how people can actually better communicate in the world, like when they first meet somebody or just like go deeper into things and understand themselves or whatever the fuck it is. What would be the first thing that somebody would start off doing to become a better communicator with the world, so we're not all like this all I can't take that, like obviously don't you, first off, maybe this is where the disconnect is with us. Like, I feel is that's a problem on Earth right now, where we're not speaking out and talking about our opinions to each other that have different opinions. That is a huge problem.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, so you agree with that. Okay, good. So if that's like a problem, meaning like a problem that is causing us harm to ourselves because we're not learning, we're not understanding each other, we don't know why somebody thinks this and that, right? And then where does that rabbit hole go? I don't know. You might know better than me, but I don't think it goes to a good place. It goes into isolationism probably, and little groups and nobody talking to anybody. I don't know where this goes, but it doesn't seem to go very well. I'm not seeing it go well. So back, if you were able, if you there was some advice you could give people, what would it be? Or you still are not really sure? Because I can tell you my thoughts on
I
that.
know what it is, and I know, but you're asking me a question that I feel, because what you said was, what would be the first thing, whatever you would say to them, and that is difficult because there's so many things I would say. I wouldn't, like there's so many important things that I would make sure, like if I had a limited amount of time and it was like, okay, if I had to give you guys something to go with, this is it, like there's lots to say about that. One would be, I think that a lot of times people communicate and they go into conversations with these expectations that somebody else is going to care about what they say, expectation that somebody else is going to not care, so expectation that somebody's going to just act a certain way in general, or expectation that I'm going to communicate this and I'm going to change your mind or your behavior in some way, shape, or form. And I think that happens a lot when people communicate, and that's a fucking issue. And it's an issue because, well, when I'm communicating, I know I can't change what someone else thinks or how someone else acts off of just something that I say. Like I'm not that powerful, like nobody can really do that. So what I do is I go into conversations with the knowledge that I know in terms of just my own ability to communicate. And I'm like, okay, well, I like to communicate assertively. Some people aren't assertive communicators, right? So assertive communicator is someone who respects their own opinions, their own values, their own stuff, but also is respectful to somebody else's, right? So there's a balance there, So when I'm communicating, I'm able to be honest about where I'm coming from and my thought and all that stuff. But at the same time, I'm being respectful to the other person as well, right? So I'm leading more with feeling and just my perspective of things versus like just like off the cusp,
right?
Talking.
I think the problem with the situation like that is like that's all great, and that's exactly where I come from too. But when you're talking to somebody that doesn't know their own opinion deeply,
or maybe they do. And it's just not...
Or maybe they do and they just don't want to express it?
Maybe they do, they don't want to express it. Or maybe they do and they don't want to get into it because, I don't know, Or maybe they do, they don't want to offend anybody, right? And this is why we have different kinds of communicators. This is why we have passive communicators. This is why we have aggressive communicators. This is why we have passive-aggressive communicators. This is why there's all these different communication styles. This is why. I mean...
Okay, I see. All right, so, yes, I think that's great advice. Where I would go with that question of like what would be the first thing I would say to people if I had that influence to help them communicate better in the world is like I think I'd go more down the path of like understanding yourself better. You know, like if you fully understand yourself, the thoughts you have, the opinions at multiple levels down, there's nothing anybody can say to you that you're going to be like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about that." People say that because they have something that they haven't themselves looked into, whether it's a topic or it's some thing that happened to them in their past or whatever. It's an avoidance thing, really. And when you're trying to avoid things, you react and you're just like, oh, we can't go down that road. You're a fucking asshole. Blah, blah, blah. And they make up some thing. That's when I know, like, as soon as somebody starts, like, calling me, like, names, like, fuck you, you're a dickhead, blah, blah, blah. Then I know, like, I'm like, all right, well, they just don't know.
Right. But that's also what I mean by, like, expectation. Because that also then means that somewhere in their mind, they may have either expected subconsciously, right, to go into a conversation with you or me or whatever, and maybe get something different coming out of it that they would have liked, but that's not the case.
Right.
The case is that we're all different, and if I go into a conversation with someone, it doesn't mean that they're going to walk away thinking the same way I think or whatever, and that's fucking okay.
Yeah.
You know? But people get so upset when other people have different, like, perspectives and opinions of just life, and it's like, but
That's nuts. Everybody has different perspectives.
I didn't realize that. Right, like we're allowed to have that. But this is also kind of what I mean by this expectation. And I'm using the word expectation. A lot of times I've said this to my patients, and they've been like, "Well, I don't have an expectation that they're," and I'm like, "Well, you kind of do, because then why are you getting so upset?"
Right.
What are you so upset about? If someone said, "Well, I'm upset," but upset for what? Like, did you honestly think that you were going to go into this conversation that you were going to change someone's mind or what? Because if you did, then that's on you, because we cannot have those expectations. You're going into this conversation to just basically communicate where you're coming from in terms of your perspective and your feelings. That is it.
Right.
Whatever happens after that, and however someone. Okay, but you're going into that for you to communicate that in the most assertive way possible, because that's like the healthiest form of communication, which is what people want to like hopefully learn to get to. But many people don't know how to communicate assertively because, again, this is also environment. They never learned it. Because
it's a cultural thing, I think. You know.
Well, it's not even just cultural. I think it's just, I mean, it's, yeah, like cultural is one, right? I think, again, environment and just like what you saw going on in your life, you know? I mean, lots of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, going into any conversation, the best you can really do is like maybe make some sort of impact at some level, maybe. But really, the only expectation you can really maybe get out of anything is like maybe learning something.
That's it. I mean, that really is. Right. Like, maybe I'll learn something from this right now. Maybe I'll hear something that I had no. Maybe.
Right.
You know, like, I think the other thing too, like, I always talk about I statements, which are so like cheesy when I talk about them. I statements.
What's that?
It's just like a formula that I like will have people implement in their daily lives when they're learning how to communicate. Okay. Because when you lead with feeling, no one can really do anything with that. It's my feeling. It's not yours, it's mine. I'm leading with that. So when I lead with a feeling, but when I also take responsibility for my feeling.
Like, for example,
so there's a difference between saying, you know, I'm angry because you told me the other day XYZ versus, you know what, I'm really hurt and just frustrated and angered right now, because when I'm in situations where I feel like I'm being spoken to like a child, it really, really gets me upset. Two different sentences.
But you have to be very self-aware for that second.
Totally, which goes back to what you said, which goes back into you need to also have awareness and insight into you. Because when you don't, then you really can't communicate that way because you have no idea what's really going on. But that's why people come to therapy, and then you learn how to really kind of dig into those things. But people are so used to just blaming and blaming others for their feelings, which is like, first of all, like, no one else is that I have my feelings, and that's that. Like, nobody can take those from me. They're mine. I'll take responsibility for them, you know? But people want to just go, oh, you versus I, because that's more difficult, you know?
Would you say that a culture of people that the majority of them are emotionally reactive to things is a culture that doesn't understand themselves very well?
Would I say that that people in the world who are emotionally reactive to things are consists of individuals that don't understand themselves very well?
Fine. Yes,
that what you-
I said it culturally because I think like there's a large majority of people that are like that. But yes, an individual who is emotional and like on the most part emotionally reactive to all situations, topics, and stuff like that. Would you say that that person has not dug very deep on themselves and doesn't really understand themselves very well? Or
Yeah, I think
not?
that's like one of the pieces, you know, or they could have the insight, but just don't know what to do with it. Which is the other thing. 'Cause I
Like
see that a
what?
lot.
What's like an example of that?
So like, I mean, I will say it's rare that I work with people, let's say, or speak to people on a daily basis where they like don't really know what like may be going on. Like for the most part, I will say for the most part, people are like no like people are pretty self-aware. Do I mean that like they like know everything? They don't know, but I mean like they have at least enough there. Well, in my case, they have enough there that even brought them to therapy to begin with, right? So therefore,
Right. If anybody's in therapy,
right.
they
like if
have
you're calling,
some sort of
like if you're
self-worth.
calling and asking for help, you know, from a therapist or whatever, that means that you have some kind of understanding of yourself in some way, shape, or form. You just don't know what to do with it. You know, so that's
And that's where the therapist comes
yeah.
in. Right. Right. Yeah. So
Because the most question asked in any session is like, okay, so what do I do now? It's always like we talk for 60 minutes, talk. All this stuff comes out, and at the end, so what do I do now? You know, like that's
so now that I'm aware,
right. Like, all this
how do
shit,
I
What am I? Right, and people
express
want
this in the world?
right, and then people want a really simple answer, and unfortunately, I can't give that because it's
Yeah.
not that. It's
I mean, there's guidelines, but then like somebody that's just becoming aware of these things, they have to practice doing these things out in the world.
Like like I can say, okay, like practice I statements, but if you just like, you know, did an I statement or practiced it for like a day, but then just didn't do it again after that ever, and you were just like, you know, like then you're not really getting anywhere. These things have to literally be implemented in your life like heavily on a daily basis. Like it should really be like or feel exhausting emotionally. Mentally.
In fact, I am actually the opposite of that. I'm better now, but like when I first went to therapy, she had to give me literally like 3 or 4 sheets of these little smiley face guys that had different emotions because I was unaware of all the emotions that people could feel, right? So I had to become more emotionally aware because prior to
which
that,
some people
I was
have
just
to. Yeah.
like.
I don't even know what the hell this is.
Yeah. And I guess maybe that's where some of my like, well, I don't even know what your problem is because, you know, like I'm just talking.
Well, it's
There's
true
not-
because
you know.
actually now that I've been around your parents too, like if we go back to like, you know, family contributions, which is always the case, that makes sense.
Yeah, my mom, my mom's
sense.
like came from Korea when she was like
Yeah,
18
so
and it's just
there's,
like
like-
straight face. We're just trying to survive.
There's like, right.
There's no
and
fucking-
then your dad, no. So it's like you basically just like really didn't grow up in an environment where you were even being taught that, you know? Like
Right.
you just saw what you saw, which was no one really expressed emotion around here or really was honest about their emotion. But we're
Honest
just
about
moving
their
on.
emotion,
Yeah.
that's where
But we're
a
just
lot of
moving
it-
on with our lives, you know?
Right. So there's the other side of it too, you know. But like I said before, I think truth, which is why we're the convenient truth, you know, is at the end of the day, way more important than hurting somebody's feelings or whatever.
Ugh, I tell people that every single day in sessions, all the time. I'm
Yeah.
like, the truth is, however, I will say that there's some things where,
That's where you kind of want to be a little more tactful, I guess,
yeah,
right?
like there's some things where I'm like,
but that in itself is also a skill, right? Which,
Yeah.
if you're not even at that point of understanding what
Right.
we're talking about now,
You're
then
not gonna
you're not going
understand
to
that.
be able to tactfully say something in a way,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, it's I don't know. Anyways, my whole thing is like I think that there's I just wish there was just more. We could just communicate freely, like everybody just put aside all like the things that the media tells you, like, oh, this is a sensitive subject or whatever, like, or whatever your thoughts are that you think that like you shouldn't because you're a white guy or freaking whatever, you can't talk about, Asian people, or not talk about like shitty, but inquire. You know what I'm saying? Inquire, like, it's okay to not know, and it's okay to like learn and be interested and like ask questions.
right.
And,
Like I would rather someone come to me, because this has happened to me. I went to basically. So I went to an all girls high school, and it was a boarding school, and so I can literally count on my fingers the amount of minorities that were in that school. So it was basically like white, and I remember, man, I'm trying to get this situation, but there was this girl. She had like what did she do? She either touched someone's hair. It was a black girl's hair, right? Or I think she also like she didn't ask me something, she said something, but it was very like, well, it's one thing just to say something versus like ask me. Like if you were to ask and be like, hey, so I really actually just like don't know because I just don't understand, different hair types. But like, so is your hair naturally like curly, or is it like what?
And that's the
sometimes
tactful
I see
way.
it.
That's the
right,
tactful way of saying
Then I'd be
it.
like, oh yeah, da 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 da, But there are some girls and some people, some just people in the world, in general, who obviously won't do that. And there have been situations, primarily a lot in high school, where like girls would just come out of pocket and just be like, touch your hair and be like, oh, like this is. Or like say the word kinky, like in response to, or like, like in response to something. And it's like, but so I want to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Are you saying it's a good thing or a
Yeah,
bad thing?
I
What are
want to give
saying?
you the benefit of the doubt, and I want to just believe that you just don't fucking know, like, so that's always my first, like, you just don't know.
Right,
which is always my first thought,
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were telling
always
that
my
story.
first thought, like, you just don't know. So my thing is that if you don't know, then ask. I feel like people are way more open and responsive to a question that you're like seriously trying to like, know because you want to, versus just making a statement, a comment, or saying something that now just sounds fucking ignorant.
Right.
Like just ask.
Yeah, and I think
I'll
that's
tell you.
where I always come from too. Is like if somebody says anything off the cuff or whatever, whether it's like borderline racist or something, like I think it's like, I just thought about this while you're talking. I think I give multiple passes until you hit like the third pass. Then I'm like, okay, now this guy is just being a fucking asshole.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But initially, it's always just like, okay, well, this person clearly doesn't understand or whatever the fuck it is. So like, let's communicate a little bit. We'll see where this goes. But that's how I think that mentality is something that could help the population grow and have better communication. Just that mentality of like not being reactive and like your first assumption should be like that person just doesn't understand whatever the topic is. So let's go a little deeper and see if maybe I can
Assuming
help
they want
them.
you. Again,
They might not.
that's again based on I think how you're approached, right? Like how someone approaches you. Like
Well, if they
if someone
approach
just
really
comes at
aggressive,
yeah,
then
they're
you
aggressive
you
about it,
know
then it's
you don't
like-
have to go through the fucking
right. It's like
steps
I'm
of
just not
passes.
even gonna, yeah, like
you know.
I'm just you know.
So yeah, there's the guy that fucking comes up and be like, "Ah, you fucking whatever, Asian
Yeah.
fuck or whatever," and then there's the guy that's like, "Hey, are you Korean? Because
Right,
I've
this
never
is
met a
different.
Korean before." And I'm
Right.
like, "Okay, well, he could be busting my balls right now, but let's see where
Let's
this
see where
goes."
this goes.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually, I am. I'm half Korean. Blah 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 blah. And then he's like, "Oh, that's so cool because I mean, my cousin just married a
Right.
Korean. She's so beautiful. Blah blah blah." And then you get into this whole thing, and you're like, "Oh, where'd your cousin get married?" And then this becomes a thing, you know. But some people won't go past that barrier.
Yeah.
They're like, "What do you mean? Of course I'm fucking Korean. You fuck, like, you know, or whatever the fuck it is."
Yeah.
And then that just ends it.
Or they just take it at right. They just
Or
take
they
it
just
as,
or
like-
they just say
as, like,
yeah, and then they
take it
walk
as-
away like, "Fuck that racist fuck," or whatever, you know.
Right,
Like
right.
when you didn't even give an opportunity to understand each
Oh
other.
man, I had this sweet little patient one time. I'll never forget him. Oh god, he just had no idea. He came from a very just like all white area somewhere like in the Midwest, and literally like never saw like a dark skinned person. Never saw like so like him coming to Florida for treatment was like a really huge. It was like a culture shock, and I had him as he was a patient of mine. Oh. I just love him. I absolutely loved him. He was so adorable, so great, so like, you know, it was just, it's great. That's the one thing about my job that I also do love too, not to always, is that I literally am just put in situations that I guess for some people could be really uncomfortable. But in the dynamic of this, the dynamic is different, and so it just turns out differently. But
Yeah, because you know initially,
so
like
much.
if anybody's coming to see you, you already know that they have some sort of open-mindedness and they're
there's
looking to
some
help
kinda-
themselves
there's
out.
Some
So like
kind of open. I
they-
mean, some kind of open.
you don't ever get somebody like thrown in there like their fucking dad or wife come by and just toss them in your room and be like, "Fix this fucking guy." You know,
No,
that
not now.
never
But
happened.
when I worked in treatment, that kind of was the case. in
Well, then,
terms of
yeah,
people
then you never know.
And then I got matched up with whomever. But I think I told you about the patient that I had who had the who was raised in a white supremacist.
Did you?
Yeah, he had like tattoos all
Yeah.
over his arms of it and everything like that. Apparently, he's doing very well today from the grapevine,
Hmm.
and he was one of my favorite patients.
Yeah, so I don't know where that was going.
I had to side note it for a second because these are the people that stand out in my head sometimes. So, but yeah. So in terms of communication and
So at the end of the day, it's about understanding yourself and not being so reactive and sensitive, even censoring yourself to make other people happy. Like, you just have, if you have curiosities about whatever fucking topics or different people or whoever you're talking to or whatever, just fucking say them, but try to say them in like not an aggressive or more tactful way, not so like
assertive.
Yeah, yeah,
Look
not-
it up.
not
Go
s-
onto Google, type in assertive communication, read about it.
But,
And
yeah.
it'll give you a whole thing of really what that is and what it could sound like.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like if you know, like if you wanted to really like get some more information about it, type in communication styles. You know, like that's really that. Tactful would be assertive.
Yeah, and it's just the emotional reaction. I mean, what I've gathered from this conversation doesn't really get you too far in communication.
No.
But see, this is what I'm talking about. But would you agree that there is a lot of people? Let's just say America, right? There's a lot of people watching this right now. You know, these people. There's a lot of people out there that are doing this.
That person.
I was that person. I was that person.
You have no idea how many times I was the person that would literally like, oh my God, like more so like on the phone. Like, so if I was on the phone and like on hold or something, or like with another, and they were transferring me or whatever, or they couldn't I used to lose my freaking shit with it, like lose it. And I wasn't even, like at that point, it wasn't even that I was mad at them. Now thinking back on it, it was just because I was like, why is no one hearing me? Which again was a story of my fucking life. I felt like growing up. You
But
know?
once you understood
now
yourself
I
a little
know
bit
that,
further,
so now I'm like, okay, like now I
Once-
understand it. You know.
yeah, once you understood
But
yourself,
oh my
more, then-
god, it's like just like, can't you understand what I'm saying? You know, that's where it was coming from.
Well, the bottom line here is I think everybody needs therapy. Everybody. Even if you are the coolest person on earth and everybody loves you, you probably
You
need
need it.
therapy. Everybody needs it, right?
You need it.
What I really wanted to talk about today was shifting gears a little bit. Was
Oh,
this fucking student loan thing,
loan
right?
forgiveness.
Where for me, I mean, we really I shifted really hard into that. But like,
Okay.
it's a real catch-22 for me, you know, because
I'm excited.
I
about it
have
on one side.
student loans.
Yeah, so do I.
This like cuts them in half, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is where we get into economics, where you don't really care, but it is affecting your life.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
It's increasing our debt, which adds to inflation. Inflation is like the word inflation is you're inflating something, right? What are we inflating? The money supply. So whenever you add more money to the money supply, which is what they do when they're taking your $10,000 away, somebody's taking that debt on. They're adding to that, which inflates. That's the most basic, fundamental way I can explain this. And this is something that everybody in America, this information could benefit from. Just this simple understanding of when the government spends money, even if it benefits you, long term, it may not benefit your kids, may not benefit you when you're 80, because you're going to be everything, all the prices go up. Actually, I was listening to this podcast today. This guy made it really simple. He's right. If you were on an island with 5 people and you had $100 to split between everybody, right? So everybody gets $20. Right? Now we can exchange that money, however it is. Larry's got 20, I got 20, whatever. And everybody feels comfortable, okay? You know, maybe eventually one person gets more money because they have sheep or something and nobody else does, so that's what they eat. But there's a certain amount of money there. Now, if all of a sudden some other guy came in and he had $1,000 and then he just gave that to everybody, then everybody's initially going to feel richer, right? Because they just got an extra, I don't know the math there,
yeah,
but
I know,
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? They all just got a bunch more money. So it's like, oh, but the prices of everything went up because the guy that's selling the sheep, he's like, well, I mean, I know you guys have more money, so these sheep are going to freaking $50 or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Right.
And then it just levels out because the prices of everything goes up and everybody's just like, now that's the equivalent of like if wages went up at the same time as inflation.
Yeah.
But they're not.
Nope.
Wages are not going up at the same rate of inflation. So that's why everybody's fucking feeling the inflation shit. Now,
Right.
if they dumped a bunch of money in and they want to pay everybody fucking more money and everybody, I guess this could go on forever, ever. And like at some point a train ticket would cost fucking $2,000, but nobody would give a fuck because everybody has fucking
The money
$10
to
million
do it, right.
in their bank.
Right.
I guess that could happen. It sounds crazy, but I mean,
I understand and have understood what this student loan money forgiveness thing that they're giving us means in terms of inflation. Yeah, like now that I know about it from you, thankfully, I understand it. Again, it's not that I don't care about it. It's just that the $10,000 that's coming to me is so helpful for me that I'm like, if that's what you want to do, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna not take it.
It's benefiting you and I, but it's not benefiting our daughter.
Oh,
And that's what continuously happens on and on. Social Security, fucking healthcare, all these fucking deals that we're getting in the time. It's not helping. That's why we're in the situation now, because our great grandparents didn't fucking think about us.
oh my God, there should be like a crazy, so you know how Matt Walsh did the documentary or whatever about What is a Woman?
Mm-hmm.
There should be someone else who does this same type of format, but focusing on the question of how much do you think or care about your kids? Honestly, I just hit, that would be such a fucking good one, because no one thinks about, I feel like, stuff like this. That's like I know I don't, so in that moment, I'm like, yes, $10,000, woohoo, it's coming to me, student loans, yeah, aha. But I'm not thinking about what's going to happen to our daughter further down the road, because I'm thinking about what's happening right now,
Right.
And then people would be like, well, that doesn't mean I don't care about our kids, which obviously I care about my daughter, but I guess we're also all self-absorbed, right?
Right.
Because that means that we're also just focusing on what's going to benefit. Because if you didn't, meaning if you weren't self-absorbed in that moment and you weren't thinking about that, and you really truly were focusing on, if I was focusing on everything about being about my daughter and the best for her, then I would most likely turn down the $10,000 and not take it and be like, nah. I'm not going to take it.
That also is not really helping anything either, though. Really, it's a fucked up situation.
Well, no,
That's
of
why
course
I call
not,
it a
because the whole world.
catch-22.
I mean, we have a whole world, right? So no, it's definitely not going to do anything. But based on I guess my own or your own principle,
Yeah, if
right?
you were going by principles,
if that
yeah.
was and
If you're going by
again,
principles, you would send back the freaking
COVID money and all that stuff,
all that
and
money,
blah, blah,
you
blah,
send it back, and in yourself, I guess you could just be like, I did my part to try to. But unless
right.
you have enough people that are supporting with you and doing the exact same thing,
yeah, it's not going to change anything.
you're not really making a dent. What we really need to do is have an understanding of all these things before they try to fucking wheel and deal us and pass these fucking laws that create this situation. Just like this new Inflation Reduction Act. How is spent? Remember the example I just gave you before, right? People, more money, fucking money, the cost of things go up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they pass a bill that is spending billions, trillions of dollars to reduce inflation. It's actually an oxymoron, like a catch-22. It's not a catch-22. It's like an oxymoron, because you're fucking. It's a bill that creates money to put into the economy, which is the definition of inflation, when you're inflating the money supply to reduce inflation. It makes zero fucking sense. And they just keep tricking us with the names of these bills. It's the Reduction Act, guys. So it's reducing. If you say so, But these are the things that are harming our kids down the road, that everybody's just like, whatever. They're working on it. They're smart. They know what they're doing. And no, they're not. They're not smart. I'm not saying I have the answer either. I mean, the answer is fucking cutting back on federal spending. That's the answer. That's it. Stop spending fucking money, and then we will slowly come out of inflation. Actually reduce money. Maybe get rid of some fucking unnecessary departments or something, right? But I mean, whatever. Some people would say, "Oh, fucking Joe, this guy thinks he fucking knows everything." I'm like, no, it's simple. It's very simple. You put money in the economy.
Or what they would say is, because then you get the the other side, which is, oh, okay, well, if they had to get rid of programs, do you know what programs they probably get rid of? They probably get rid of the programs that maybe like really actually could be doing something, but they don't really maybe, benefit financially or this or that or whatever. And so now other people are going to have to basically be, have this consequence of not being able to have certain.
Right. But maybe we put it up for debate. I mean, there has to be stuff that we can get rid of in the federal government. Now, the problem with that is people will lose their jobs, right? But I don't know if you guys have been anywhere lately, down the street, to your local restaurant, to fucking the ice cream parlor, wherever the fuck you go, they're hiring.
Is that just here?
No. This is everywhere. This is everywhere. They're fucking hiring. So those
hiring everywhere.
Whatever
that's for sure.
fucking.
If you want a job, just come to Rhode Island.
Yeah, those federal employees. There is other work. It might not be freaking doing whatever the fuck they're doing that if we all debated it, deemed it not important. If the whole country says, hey, yeah, we understand your job, but, it might have been important when we were doing well here, but not so important now. Those people, there are jobs for them, unfortunately, if that was to happen, right? But they're going to be okay because there's jobs. But maybe that job is not very important, most likely. There's a lot of federal government jobs that are unfortunately not important.
IRS?
Well, yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. Because the IRS, man.
Yeah. Well, they just hired. Well, they're hiring 80,000 employees over the next 10 years.
Right. So the more employees they have, the more they'll be able to, I guess, get their money back.
But I guess what they're saying is over the course of 10 years, there will be a certain percentage of current employees that will retire. So they're just filling that in.
Filling those.
Okay. It seems pretty significant. There's definitely going to be more in 10 years than there are right now. But maybe not 87,000 more. Maybe 20,000 more.
Right. Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah, so I hope this was a good economic lesson for you. I've tried to simplify it as best as possible, but because it's so simple, people are probably no, that's not it. That can't be. No, that's really it. It's they make it seem complicated so that you'll just be I don't know what's going on, and it seems overwhelming. It's really not. It's very basic, simple. Mm-hmm. We got some comments, I guess. We could read those. Right? Of course, from my sister.
They're all from your sister.
No. There's one from Raph.
Raph?
100%. Asking if you don't know. Oh, going back to the communication thing. Yes. To know. Yeah. She says humans are naturally emotional. Is that true? Because if you think, where I always go, caveman days. I always go back to caveman days. Were cavemen fucking emotional? No, I just said this the other day, that they were too fucking busy surviving to fucking be worried about a fraction of the fucking shit we fucking worry about on a daily basis. You become emotional because there's nothing else to fuck you. You're living too fucking good. That's what it is.
I mean, I think that people, for the most part, are for me, when I hear to be emotional, what I also hear is that you have emotions that you feel, and that right. And
that's nice, yes.
Them. And so, unless you are I don't know, a robot or other, I guess, mental personality disorders of some sort, then everyone yeah. I mean, and again, that's okay.
Okay, yeah, because even the cavemen had babies that they didn't kill.
Right. They were
just we need to protect this.
So baby, they had some. Yeah, they had some emotion.
This is, all right. What else?
Raph.
What did he say?
It's gonna get worse if you're not rich or have your own business. You might be fucked.
In a way, because they will increase. The taxes have to go up. That's the only way to pay for the debt because they're no longer, the federal government can't just get money from the Fed anymore. They have to raise taxes. Like they're at the point where it's like crazy. We're at like almost $30 trillion in debt, right? And they're asking, they're just going to go to the Fed and ask for fucking more money. They're not going to give it to them anymore. So the only way for a federal government to survive is through taxes, which means your taxes are going to go up no matter what. And especially, if you have a small business,
Right.
if and even just people just paying their taxes.
I think that's what he means, right?
Yeah.
So that's what he means, right?
'Cause
Taxes
that's-
go up,
that's
and
where-
then,
yeah.
unless you're rich or you own your own business.
Yeah, if you
fuck.
think like they're hiring these IRS people to go after fucking billionaires or whatever, I thought that's what they were already doing. Isn't that what they do? Like, I mean, there's plenty of IRS people now. What are they doing right now? They should be focusing on the exact thing that whatever they're talking about that they're gonna do. Why aren't they doing it right now? You know, if there's like loopholes that billionaires are getting through, well, fucking do something about it. Go do it. We don't need to pass a new fucking law or spend more fucking money. Just go fucking do it. Go focus on those fucks instead of coming after like middle class people that are making like $70,000 or whatever. Go get it. It's right there. They're the problem. The billionaires. Well, go get the fucking money then. They're not doing it. They're not gonna do it, and they're just gonna come after the middle class and the poor people even more. It's what they do. I mean, it's so weird. It's like people like even with like the Corona thing a little bit. We'll go back to it. Is that like? Did you notice as soon as like the coronavirus started coming along, and then Pfizer and Johnson Johnson and Moderna, they all came out with these vaccines, and everybody's just like, oh my God, thank God, thank God. These people in the past like 20 years were the same people that created the opioid crisis. The fucking same people that are paying trillions, billions of fucking dollars in fines because they're fucking killing people and creating bad fucking drugs and putting them out on the market and misleading people. Same people. The same people that everybody was just like, fuck Pfizer, fuck those motherfuckers. They have too much money, all this, whatever the fuck it is. Those are the people. We all just, over the past couple of years, we're like, oh my God, thanks for saving us. It's the same fucking thing with, see, I lost my track. We were talking about something else though. We were talking about, we're talking about the government, the IRS. Oh yeah, it's just like the IRS, right? So now all of a sudden, like now they passed this fucking Inflation Reduction Act. Now everybody's like, oh yeah. We need more IRS agents. Yeah, they're going to go after those guys. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, it's the same shit. Nobody likes the IRS, and then all of a sudden they create some, like, bill that they're going to fix everything, and then everybody's like, oh, yeah, thank God. Somebody's taking care of it. Somebody that's taking care of it are the same people that have been fucking you. That's what happened with the virus, the vaccine, too. It's, like, crazy. We're in a crazy world. Every day I say, this is fucking crazy. I won't get too far into that. Again.
No,
see, now this is where I get emotional, I guess.
Yes.
Is it
this
emotional?
Well, you get really like obsessive.
I wouldn't call it emotional, would you?
You do get emotional. You get very passionate.
Passionate.
That's an emotion.
Okay.
Feel passionate about something. It's an emotion.
Because I would love to like really have like a long conversation. And I've had some conversation, but I'd really like to have a really long conversation with somebody that thinks the opposite. Thinks everything that I'm saying is like bullshit. I want to have that conversation for a day long, like 24 hours. Let's fucking go. Because at the end of that, I want you to convince me that I'm not in crazy world and all this is fucking good and we're going to be in happy land in the next like year. Please, whoever you are, come talk to me. Because I will not be assertive. I will not be aggressive. I just want to sit back. I want to listen. I want to learn. You teach me, please.
So DM.
Yeah,
Convenient Truth.
please.
And Joe
We don't even
will-
have to have it on air.
Joe will respond.
I'll meet up with you at a coffee shop. I'll take the fucking day off, and you can explain to me that everything I'm saying is cuckoo.
You're not going to meet up with anybody on a
I
coffee
know.
shop. But you can DM him. Okay, we have to wrap up.
Okay.
All right.
Was there any further information here?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, so that was pretty good for.
Here we go. Joe always.
Oh, I mean,
rates,
explaining the
Joe likes
podcast.
to rate he likes to rate how good we did.
Well,
or
coming into
not
this
good we
podcast, we knew nothing. We didn't know what the.
Zero.
We were like
want
really.
you guys
We
to know
delayed
that
this podcast.
No, today was probably the worst day. I knew nothing of what I was going to talk about.
The only thing we had an idea of is the student loan thing. That was it. And then we thought that would be like a freaking 3-minute conversation. And we were like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck we're going to talk about. So we literally delayed the podcast for like a good half hour.
Yeah.
Because we're just sitting here like
I knew
scrolling,
nothing.
looking through the internet. Like, what the fuck is going on in the world right now?
Nothing.
But it ended up being a pretty good podcast. And we talked about communication and emotional reactiveness.
Yes.
See? Things just come out. It just happens. You know? You never know what's going to happen when you start talking to somebody.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for checking us out, for listening, for watching, and have a great rest of this beautiful Sunday.
Yes. You know, we do have to stop talking about the Sunday because this doesn't come out until Tuesday.
So just cut it
say,
out then.
Or just say Tuesday.
Just cut it out.
You're making me work. I'm trying to just let it go. Hold on, I got to cut out the part where Lisa said fucking Sunday. Add in Tuesday or some shit. Anyways, yeah, guys, you know, if you could just share the podcast, if you enjoy it, then please tell people. You know, we're trying our best. We've already kind of gotten like shadow banned or some shit on Instagram. I don't know what's going on. So we're really pushing to, you know, expand the podcast. But really, at the end of the day, it's the content, the consistency. You know, 300 podcasts is the goal to just. That'll be the goal to just get there. See where we're at. We're at 300. Anything in between, I don't give a fuck. 300, we'll see where we're at. All right. So.
Okay.
252 to go. We'll see you then.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Love you. Bye.